Good morning. I just wanted to share this with you. So I'm always up early. It's my natural body clock. Don't set any alarms. I'm generally awake at 4 a.m. if not a little bit before, quite often. But I don't stress about it. It's whenever I wake up. One of the beauties of being unemployed at the moment. Oh, there we go. There's the umbrella. Come here. So, like I say, I don't do editing, and that's why I've got no music on this one, because I'm out and about. So this is one of my little walks that I love to do early in the morning, sometimes with a head torch on. But this is the seawall. This is like one of my favourite spots. So that's where I've walked from, and there's like little sort of pathways that go down and the fences, and I use that a bit like a jungle gym as I go along. But I wanted to share the sunrise with you. One of my favourite times of the day, and have a little wander as we go. But anyway, this is the seawall. It's so much fun, honestly. You just very rarely bump into anyone. Just get to do your own thing. I listen to music. I can't have music on whilst I'm talking to you, but I'd normally have music on. We've had Let's Talk About Sex by Salt and Pepper this morning. This is the DJ side of it. So absolutely amazing tune. Can't play it for you because I'm on my phone. But if you want to have a listen, they produce some amazing music. Have a listen to Pleasure by The Great Medicine Show. Wow, what a tune. But anyway, there you go. That's the music side of it. I'll give you a bit of an update as to what's going on with Devon and Cornwall Police. So I just don't sit around on my arse and wait for shit to happen. I get it done. And sometimes I try and do it in the nicest way possible, but sometimes you just got to force stuff. So not happy with the fact that my bail date got moved from the 9th to the 20th. Very late notice. I found that in one of my 5 emails in the junk. It was lucky I'm on it. I've reorganised that now, so it's easier to find stuff. But they're all on the one sort of email, if you like. But I've got all the 5 on there, so I can just do a group thing and I see everything that comes in. But I kind of liked it the way it was anyway. It was fun charging around different emails and having a look. But I like to be organised, apart from when I'm doing stuff like this, and I like to be spontaneous and just do it. So I wasn't happy the fact it had been moved. Bearing in mind, I've got next to no funds and no fuel in the van, and now no gas in the van either, by the way. Oh, so here's a little van life hack. I told you this is completely unplanned. We'll just see where we go. Right, van life hack. Don't have gas in the van, but what I do have, and I couldn't get rid of it. I kept trying to sell it and no one would have it. Ridiculous. So if you're in a van and you want hot water, but you can't afford stuff, try and find yourself a really cheap coffee machine. If you've got like 230 volt hookup, or not hookup, off your solar or whatever, plug in. And yeah, just let the sun power your hot water. So I can do a few jugs at a time, fill up the sink. It's a hot water wash. Absolutely beautiful. And it's all powered thanks to the sun, which I've been waiting for this morning. I'm faster than the sun apparently, but there you go. I am actually the most chilled out guy in the world, but I just like to get shit done as well. So yeah, and I'm up early. So whereas a lot of people would be slow and grounded into the day or whatever, this is my form of meditation. It's my going for a walk, and it's going for a walk on the seawall here. I love this spot. Look at that. There you go, look. That's Pendennis Castle up there. And look, no one. Apart from, I don't want to be, potentially, I'd go with Chinese, definitely Asian. He's the only chap I've seen this morning. He was a little bit startled to see me wandering along. There isn't a lot of room on this little path, and so I just gestured for him to move in, so he's in the safest spot, because I'm really comfortable with heights, and yeah, I like to just sort of like go right on the edge here quite often. Not a problem at all. Used to used to do a fair bit of rock climbing. I actually had a distinction for that. That's what I did after leaving school. Outdoor pursuits in outdoor pursuits, BTEC National Diploma, and distinction was what I had in rock climbing. So I'm very comfortable when it comes to heights, which is good because I like being in high places as well. So that's your van life hack: coffee machine, plug it in. You've got hot water in your van, off if you've got solar panels, for free. You don't need gas. That's what I do at the minute. And I've got like copper pans, fortunately, which are like fireproof and stuff, so I can set up a little fire on the beach and cook food. Oh, food. Right, there we go. See you. I told you we see where we go. Food. So up until very, very recently, up until last week, I've basically just done everything on my own, because that's just the way I am. I just deal with it. But I decided, finally, let's start using some local resources. So let me take you through my week. Monday, I went to the Salvation Army, because I heard they were doing breakfast there. So I went to the Salvation Army and they do breakfast between 10 and 12 in Falmouth. So I had a breakfast, which was very nice. Had a chat with a few people. I'm a little bit like, I don't know, I think I stand out a little bit maybe. So they were like, oh wow, okay. I'm just like waffling on, I chat to everyone. And yeah, they were actually really cool. So I then went from there, I went and sorted out a food bank voucher. There's a food bank over in Penryn, and that's on a Thursday. And so on Thursday, rather than living off, I have £1.10 in the bank, and I've got £1.85 in my wallet. So budgeting's important. Know what you got. So not a lot of money, and that's until the 5th of May. But I don't have a care in the world. I know I'll get through anything. There's no challenge that anyone can throw at us that I wouldn't get through, so it's not really an issue. But I did think, let's start using some local resources. I'd have got through it anyway, but I'd have lived off the land or something, eat seaweed, this, that, the other. So I've got a food voucher from the Dracaena Centre, which then entitled me to go to the food bank on the Thursday. So my Thursday, Sally Army were doing a breakfast in the morning. They were open 10 till 3. So I went for breakfast, and then I went down to embroidery at the library. Met some really nice people. It's not long, I was literally there on the first one, I think, because I was aware that I won't mention people by name necessarily, because I haven't asked them if it's alright. So there's a lady who goes there, who I know goes up to the Sally Army for lunch. I'd already been up there for breakfast, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to go and collect her and see if she wants to go to lunch. She doesn't have to, I'm just going to ask if she wanted to. So I went there and asked if she wanted to go to lunch, and she was like, yeah, that'd be lovely. So I carried her bags up for her, and we went in and we sat down and we had lunch at the Sally Army together, which was really nice, and had a chat about all sorts of music and this, that and the other. John Lennon, the Beatles, all just things that I also listen to. I don't know. So I then went on my other little wonder, following on there. I was absolutely stuffed. I'd already had a breakfast. It was chicken curry and rice for lunch. Thing is, I'm vegan with a few exceptions, so I don't eat chicken. So I just asked if I could have, if it would be alright if I had some rice, which they did. And so between my breakfast and a plate of rice, I was absolutely stuffed. Then I went for a wander to to the food bank in Penryn, which is a really nice walk along the estuary. Takes a little bit, probably about an hour or so for most people, I guess. You can do it a bit quicker. But I went there with a almost empty backpack, apart from my paper diary that I carry everywhere with me, because I've got 28 projects on the go at the moment, and it's good to stay on track of things. Although my memory's like ridiculous, so I generally remember stuff without having to look in my diary, but it's always good to have it there as a backup. So I walked to the food bank, and the first time they've met me in there as well, and they were like, oh, okay, yeah. Anyway, so I waited to be called. They did free tea, coffee. They even offered me lunch, again, mac and cheese, which I had to tell them. I said, I'm absolutely stuffed. I've just had a plate of rice. I'm hoping to fill this up with a bit of food and walk it off, to be fair. So yeah, this is another thing I do. So after eating, I tend to exercise, go for walks, walk the food off, let it sort of let it do what it needs to do. Nutrition, massively important. So yeah, I've gone to the food bank, and I wait to be called. I was number 3. I like the number 3, it's a good number. And we go through, and she's got like a little checklist of what you can have and what you can't have. And we go along. I was like, can I have one of them? She's like, yeah, you can have one of them. I was like, thank you very much. She's like, right, we'll go on to this one. You can have one, or you can have 2 of these. And I was like, can I? I was like, can I have one of them? She's like, yeah, you can. I was like, thank you very much. Can I have one of them? Yeah, you can. Thank you very much. And off we went. So like literally, I'm filling up a little wheelie trolley full of food, and I'm like thinking I've got to get this all in my bag at some point. And me being me, I've already planned ahead, and I've got a World Wildlife Fund 100% recycled from plastic bottles bag folded up in another storage compartment on my backpack. My backpack's like literally, it's got something for everything in there. First aid kit, all sorts. And compass, you never know when you might need a compass, pens, stuff to do art things with, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, I've basically filled up a trolley full of food, and gone to the packing area, and they're all looking at me like, how's he going to do this? So I kind of like just keep packing it, and I'm putting all the heavier stuff in to the backpack, and putting the lighter box stuff like bran flakes into the shopping bag. That one's from Tesco's. I'm sure you can get it elsewhere as well, but it's got tigers on it, and I like tigers. And I put the lighter stuff in that. So I've loaded up my bag. It's absolutely bulging. I couldn't have got anything that was wafer thin left in there. So I've packed it all up, and they're looking at me now going, how is he going to do this? And I know they are, because they're all like, can we help? And I'm like, no, I got it. So I've managed to get this backpack on, and it is heavy. And I've always got like carabiners and stuff as well, so I've clipped the other bag to my backpack. I'm like, right, I'm good. Thank you very much. Thank you for all your help. And now I've got like I said, it's probably about an hour, because I'm over at Swamppool, so it's further than Falmouth. So I think on Google Maps it's about an hour and 15. So I've loaded all this up, and then set off on my walk back. And I've done it in a wanna, because, like I say, I come out and I exercise every single day, several times a day. I don't sit on my arse, I get moving. And so I've hoofed it back in a wanna, and I'm just interested now. I haven't come out. Right, hang on, let's flip this camera. You can be a little bit more prepared for stuff, yeah? And wear the right apparel, right gear. Buffalo jackets, absolutely amazing. Special Forces designed, handmade in Sheffield. I had one back in 1994 when I was doing my outdoor pursuits. I've got another one. Anyway, one of the best jackets you can get. in outdoor wear, by the way. It's still going now. Highly recommend. Let's flick you back. Oh no, let's just have a chat. So I've hoofed it back, and I'm interested now. I'm thinking, how much does this weigh? And a little bit ago, well, I haven't got much money, but one of the things I did find, and it was in a charity shop, it was like an analog set of travel scales. I like analog over digital most of the time, hence my watch is analog but not digital. Fitbit, don't have one. I have got one, I just don't wear it anymore. I just do what I want to do. So anyway, I've picked up my travel scales. I've put my bag outside of the van because it's going to be a problem. There's a struggle with getting it in to the van anyway. And I've lifted it up. It's you've got to lift it up, and it's on a hook. So I've lifted it up, and it's immediately just broken my travel scales. The first time, second time I've used them, and I mean, the travel scales only go up to 32 kilos, so it's definitely over 32 kilos. My guess is quite a lot over. But what I have got as a result of that is an absolute cupboard full of tins of things, of food. I've got bran flakes, I've got oat milk. And that was another funny thing at the food bank actually. So when we're going along at the food bank, so you can tell I'm picking everything out for nutritional value because that's what I do. I'm into looking after yourself, eating healthy. And we get to another little area of it. She goes, I'm just going to pick this one for you. I was like, oh, what have we got? And she's picked up barista oat milk. Absolutely. I was like, perfect. So barista oat milk, I read the back of packets of pretty much everything. And I don't anymore because I know what's in it. But healthy fats, barista blend, really good if you want to increase your fats in a healthy way. And I was like, oh, yep, she's on it. This is good. So that was the food bank. Devon and Cornwall Police, let's go back to them. So Devon and Cornwall Police, this is kind of the way you should see my diary. I kind of like mind map things in my diary, and it kind of goes, we just spirals, we just see where we go. But Devon and Cornwall Police, so they moved my bail date to the 20th. Obviously I'm on what most people would say is probably exceptionally low funds, I guess. So I wasn't happy with that. Funnily enough, I'm like, I just want to get this shit sorted and then they can pay me my compensation. So I know to send that late notification on Wednesday. It was something like 2:41 in the afternoon, I think. Top of my head, but roughly around that. And I found it later on that evening, which was fortunate that I found it because it would have been the next day, and it would have been me burning the very little that I did have, getting to them in Camborne. And this is one of my other gripes. There's only 2 custody centres in Cornwall. One's in Newquay, one's in Camborne. So I went to pay them a visit on Thursday at Falmouth Station to say, right, I'm not coming to bail on the 20th, and I'll tell you why. I haven't got any money. I've got no money. How am I supposed to get there? There's a problem in the system here, isn't there? So they expect you to just magic and be able to get somewhere to one of the 2 locations. I said, look, I get it. I'm a bit of an unusual case. Living off 26p in February and normal budget of £10 and 8p a week. But if I was to put a tenner in fuel, that's a week's food for me, you know, and that would be probably just about get me to Camborne and back, and that would be a week's worth of food burnt just for the sake of returning to bail. So I said I'm not going. I said I'm not saying it's a no. I had to do this much later, so sorry I jumped off a little bit there. Let's just go back. So I went to the station inquiry office and it was closed, and it said sorry for the inconvenience. We're open on Monday. So I was like, okay, right, blue wall phone outside of police stations. So I know the system and I know how it works. And if you go on the 101, the non-emergency thing, you're going to be waiting quite some time. So I picked up the blue wall phone and I dialed the 999 emergency one, and was spoken to by some pissed off guy who hung up on me. So I didn't even bother to try and explain it. So I got on the non-emergency one, and I sat on the floor outside the police station for over an hour. And because I'm holistic, and see, this would probably piss quite a lot of people off, or they wouldn't have bothered. But I was like, no, I want to complain about a few things here and give them notification about not attending on the 20th, not returning on bail. So I sat on the floor, really chilled out. I've basically kind of, it's one of my yoga headbands actually. So people used to think, when I used to be a copper, I was both uniformed and I was undercover, or covert human intelligence source. I used to do a few things back then, like put an elastic band around my head and just stick the phone underneath it, so you don't have to hold it hands free, right? Because you can do push buttons on a flipping office phone, but I just thought that's a bit boring. So I used to just shove it underneath an elastic band, because you used to have to phone through when you were like recording crimes and stuff, and you'd be waiting for ages. And very much the same as this situation. So now I've got a yoga headband on, and I've just rammed it underneath there, hands free. So now I'm hands free, because there isn't a button that you can press to put it on speaker on the blue wall phone. So I'm now hands free. My original idea when I used to be in the job. And I've got my bag with me, as I always do. So I'm like, let's just do something that's entertaining. So I get my pens out, and I'm doing a bit of, if anyone knows, like colouring in, or you get like quite a lot of mandala books and stuff that you can generally get at good arts and crafts stores and even supermarkets all over the place, and like Zen colouring in books, things like that. So I get my pens out and I just start doing some artwork on my hand, basically, and just passing the time whilst I've got this thing going on in my ear. I always listen to music, by the way. That's 24/7 with me, and so I've got one earpiece in playing music that I want to listen to, and I've got the other one with that. So I'm like really chilled out. I just sat on the floor, doodling away, quite happy. I turn away about 8 members of the public who are really pissed off that the inquiry office is closed. So I made a complaint for them about that, because they weren't sticking around and I was on the wall phone anyway. So I made a complaint about that when I finally got through to someone. But I also notified them that I couldn't attend bail. It wasn't that I wasn't willing, it was just I couldn't get there. Not unless they intended. On Google Maps it's like about 5 hours 15 walking. And when you're in calorie deficit, that is not healthy. That is not a good idea. It's actually dangerous, and the roads are pretty dangerous there as well. So it's like, unless you want me to walk on dangerous roads, you've got a couple of options here. If you don't want to cause me to breach bail, that kind of goes into a use cause permit sort of thing. That's a traffic related offence. Don't think that's been done yet. That would be another legal precedent, but we'll leave that. So you would have caused me to have breached bail, to have not attended Camborne Station, because I have no money, I have no fuel in the van. Unless you intend on me walking there on calorie deficit, it's just not going to happen. So you can either supply transport, and I'm not getting in the back of the van, I'm not under arrest, or you can give me money for fuel and I'll drive myself there and back. So they're the options I discussed with the call taker, and raised a few issues. I also made a complaint against the people who basically moved my bail, the OIC, post sergeants, the OIC and the authorising officer. So once that had been dealt with, off I went. So that's that part of it. I've also emailed as well prior to that, straight away almost, when I've seen on Wednesday, when I've seen the movement of bail. Now obviously I don't know. I have had absolutely zero response back from that email. I did say I can't get there, this, that, and the other, and I just she might have taken this the wrong way. It wasn't meant as a personal threat, but I said get out whilst you can on the bottom of the email, referring to Devon and Cornwall Police. I would not advise anyone to join the police. That's my honest opinion. There are far better things you could be doing with your life. For some people, maybe it's a passion, maybe they love it, but the system is flawed currently, and yeah, I feel sorry for the police. They have a lot to deal with, and there isn't the right level of support out there for them either. Anyway, we'll move on from that. So I've had a weekend doing various bits and pieces. I've gone back into the station on Monday after breakfast and after my restart appointment by phone. Hopefully she doesn't mind me mentioning her name, Emma. She is absolutely great, really good at her job. So we had a phone appointment, had a chat with her, told her what I was up to, and the fact that I'm going to go in and see the police after I've had breakfast at the Salvation Army. She said, yeah, go and have breakfast first. I was like, I'm alright, I'm chilled. So anyway, that's nervous system regulation. So I've gone out for breakfast and then I've wandered down to the police station and had a chat with the inquiry office. It's now open. I've told them that I've made a complaint. I've also written down a number of other complaints that I want recording. And I've asked if the station inspector's there or a sergeant who I know as well, and they weren't. But professional standards sergeant, I won't name him. Professional standards department sergeant was there. So I was like, great. So I waited for a little bit, still had my music on in one ear, so I've got spatial awareness. And eventually I sit down and I explain what I explained on my first post as to why it's my honest held belief that there is no offence. Mens rea actus reus. Basically, they have to prove that for dishonesty and theft related incident, crime, whatever you want to call it, of which there is none. So I'm not guilty, I'm going not guilty all the way, and I've now explained why I'm not guilty to the professional standards department sergeant, and I can see cogs sort of ticking over a little bit. Anyway, I've basically given her the bit of paper and I said, look, these are the 3 additional complaints that I want recording, and I did actually raise at this time the fact that, and this is a really good one to remember, if you're ever in custody, if you're unfortunately arrested and in custody, they have to feed you every 6 hours, all right, or within 6 hours. That's something called Pace Code C, and that is the Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984, and it's a book probably about that thick. It's really boring. There are a few things which you'd be well advised to know about, and one of them is Pace Code C if you're ever detained, banged up in a cell, and they have to feed you within every 6 hours. And that's what they didn't do whilst I was in custody. I hadn't eaten since 6 a.m. because I do this. I go out and about. I normally eat at about 6, but it's a little bit different today. I'm a bit loose with it. See where we go. I'll have food when I get back. So yeah, they forgot to feed me basically, and I had to ask 3 times whilst I was in custody. And most people would get hangry, and I probably was, but because of nervous system regulation, I suppressed all that through breath work, and just taking my mind off it and thinking of other things. Obviously, I didn't have music on, which I would have normally had, which is one of my calming methods. It can either get you calm or it can get you going, depending on what you're listening to. And sound therapy and all sorts of things. This, by the way, is therapy. This is speech therapy. So thank you for being my therapist. I'll just tell you what's on my mind and hopefully you get something out of it. So yeah, they forgot to feed me, so I've raised that one as a breach of Pace Code C. It's a big no-no. I'd also written down a couple of bits regarding the ECHR, European Convention of Human Rights, Article 2 and Article 5. And she was like, well, what about these ones? I was like, tell you what, if you do that one, we'll leave these ones alone for a minute. I said, we can keep that bit of paper. And really good of her. She's done that for me, and I've left. And left the station, and I had the confirmation of the breach of pace sent to me later that evening, which is good. I've acknowledged that email, so I keep a record of everything. That's why I do everything by email. You do it by phone, you haven't got a record of it unless you record the phone calls. You do it by email, you can keep all those emails and document everything, which is what I do. And it's all in a file under police complaint. Let's get up and leave. I've been sat still for too long. Let's just flick you around. There you go. Absolutely stunning. Let's keep going for a walk. This is probably like a little bit trickier to do than normal, because I'm trying to do it whilst filming as well. So hang on. Which hand do I want the camera in? Let's go umbrella to the right. Right, let's go umbrella to the left. So there we go. Right, there we go. This is good. By the way, you probably, I don't know, unless your balance is alright, probably don't do this, but I've been a yogi for a very long time, so this is easy. This is good. But this is like my normal little walk. But I kind of like go along the seawall, come down here. Okay, and then on to the next section. I'm gonna like finish with you in 2 seconds. Well, not 2 seconds. It's me. But so yeah, know your rights basically. That's an important thing. And get advice from your solicitor if you don't. I'm fortunate that I tend to remember everything. So hence, you know, a lot of legislation that a lot of people would have to look up, it's just in my head usually. I'm not saying every time, but the majority of the time. So I'm quite fortunate like that, I guess. I don't enjoy law, by the way. I'm using it to my advantage at the moment. I don't intend on doing anything with law. I get no satisfaction out of it. Yoga and music, yams, Fiji, travel, yoga, music, breathwork. Yeah, it's all my stuff. Not law. I want to avoid that. Anyway, that's it for now. I've gone on for long enough. But yeah, if you start the post, pleasure, great medicine show, absolutely amazing. And let's talk about sex. Salt and pepper. Now I'm going to stop this and I can actually get on with my walk and listen to some music again. Have a great day, people. Namaskar.